Us for our self-directed IRA weekly webinar today, this fine Tuesday. Today we have two new guests that are going to be joining us, but before I let them get started and introduce themselves, I'm going to just quickly run through some announcements, upcoming events that we have, and just share some upcoming education for y'all in the next few weeks. So coming up on December 16th, we have a hybrid CE for realtors. If you are a realtor and you're looking to get continuing education credits, we actually provide a free class for you, whether you want to join in person or online, personal preference there. We do have both of those options available to you. It's a really good way to earn some credits, but also learn about something new that can help you grow your business, especially as we go into 2022. So do be sure to register for that one. And even if you're not a realtor, it's definitely going to be a good class. You can get some education there. As always, we have our self-directed IRA socials in the evenings, once a month for every office. As you can see here, we've got Houston the first Tuesday, Austin the second, and Dallas on the third. And this month, we actually have themed networking that we're going to be doing. So based on what type of investments you do, we're going to be hosting speed networking at this social and making it a little bit fun. If you have an ugly sweater, wear that one, come on out, have a drink with us. We expect that one to be a really good event that they just keep growing and growing every month. And actually, if you are in the Houston area, do be sure to come tonight. It's going to be tonight in the Houston office at 6:30. Some additional classes and webinars that we have, just like this one, we will have this class every Tuesday at noon and also on Saturdays at noon as well. So same time, same format to get some education there. But also, if you're looking strictly for just networking, making those connections, not really so much the education, we have our virtual networking happy hour. This is a great place to meet new people, create that network that you're looking for, maybe in other towns than your own. Since it is virtual, we get quite a few people join, and it's a good way to expand that network beyond, just where you're from. But lastly, if you do miss any of the classes, they are all live streamed. You can go back and watch them on YouTube or our Facebook. And then just a couple last ones. If you have been able to attend our QuestCon event this past week, we actually have a follow-up panel that we're going to be doing as kind of a addition to the wealth building QuestCon that we just had. So this one's going to be a panel with Glenn Stromberg, Tracy Rui, and Jeff Watson, all about how to build wealth in 2022. So that one's free as well. That's going to be this weekend, actually. So do be sure to register for that one too. And then our final event, the last announcement that I'm the most excited to share with you, the Quest Expo is returning. If you've been to the Quest Expo before, you are very familiar with how incredible this event is. We have, upwards of 500 attendees at this huge conference. It's the largest self-directed IRA conference in the nation. So we love putting on this event. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to these past couple of years because of COVID, but we are planning to come back bigger and better than ever before for the third annual. I will post the link to get your pre-sale tickets if you'd like in the comments once I'm done here with the announcements. But you definitely want to make sure that you grab that ticket before tickets go up or before they sell out. We have had almost every QuestCon, the VIP tickets do sell out quite quickly. So if you want to get the best seat in the house and all the perks, go be sure to get your ticket as soon as possible and secure your spot at the Quest Expo. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can scan this QR code or email us, give us a call, talk to us on our chat feature. There are tons of ways to get in contact with an IRA specialist. But if you're looking for more information, we would love to schedule a free consultation with you, have that one-on-one conversation to really go through what your goals are and your scenarios to see how we can help you as you continue to build wealth for your retirement. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let the speakers take it away, and I'll add them up here. We've got Chris and Maricela today that are going to share with us some private lending tips, give us a fresh new perspective, and how you can grow your IRA or your personal funds with their strategies. Alrighty, guys, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Sarah. We are going to share our screen if we're allowed. All right. Can you see our screen?
We sure can.
Okay, awesome. So, hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Sarah, for the kind welcome in here. We're really excited to share how to make money and how to put your money to work. So, here we are.
So I'm Chris Linger. We and Maricela Soberanes together, we are Uplex, and we just wanted to share our story. We are currently, we really started our investment journey in 2017. Most of the time up till then was learning, whether it be through podcast or other documentation, reading books and such like that. We had initially, each of us individually had started our own journey with live in homes, type of thing. But in 2017 is when we really started that investment journey with purposeful movement. We bought some quadplexes. 2018, we grew a little bit more. We did some more acquisitions. We had learned about syndications, but we had not actually started that journey yet. We were uncomfortable with being in charge of other people's money at that time because we were both have a military background, and with the opportunity to deploy to areas unknown, internet access unknown, we did not feel like that was an appropriate move for us at the time. So we grew our own portfolio leading up into 2020. And started our bigger growth journey.
So yeah, here you can see our investment timeline. Uplex started in 2006, actually, with a primary residence duplex that iHouse had. Then moving forward, you can see how our growth in the first years from 2006 to 2017 was quite slow. And that is because we were doing it on our own. We didn't have a community or groups that we could borrow their knowledge and expedite our growth. So in 2018, we started again acquiring more duplexes, fourplexes, and small multifamily. We grew our portfolio up to 35 doors, which we were self-managing remotely. I was working in Virginia or Kentucky, different states around the country, and Chris was stationed in San Diego. So we had processes in place that allowed us to self-manage those 35 units. And it was quite profitable, but we felt like we needed to offload some of that extra work. So in 2020, we decided to shift our strategy, and we started partnering with other investors. So we actually started moving our portfolio, selling some of it, and buying with groups or partners. And we started with we transitioned to self-storage, mobile home parks, and then we also invested passively in syndications and apartments. We are actually currently invested in 7 deals as passive investors, totaling up to 1,350 apartments around 5 different states. And this year, actually, we actually co-sponsor syndications, one in Austin and one in Houston, a total of 350 apartments. And so currently we have other deals, but we just wanted to give you the short version of where we are right now.
Sure. As you saw on the timeline, we joined a mastermind in 2020, which really opened up our mindset. The paid mentorship program we joined also in 2020 when I retired from the military, was when we were ready to make that transition to syndications. At the same time, we had come into, through sale of properties and such, we had some extra money that we were waiting. It was in storage, right? Ready to go into the next event. And that's how we started to push in towards private money loans.
So we all are here looking to make some more money or put our money to work, maybe hopefully do it as passive as possible. But there's so many strategies that we can use using the real estate investment vehicle to grow our wealth. So, as you probably already are aware, some of the why real estate investing over other vehicles, because there's several, right? Well, the asset stability is something tangible. If you are invested in different states, you can actually go visit those places and pretty much see the improvement if you're going to be doing a value add. There is taxes advantages, so effectively increasing your income without increasing your taxes. That's one of the big selling points. Where that's how you grow your wealth, right? You invest in several deals that are going to give you tax benefits, and then using leveraging debt from the bank. When you buy a property, you borrow majority of the money, but you keep the cash flow or the benefits of owning the whole complex as if it was just you. So that's a huge for us.
You get to, by going into different deals, it allows you to diversify, whether you diversify in the class of product that you decide to invest in, or location. So you're not locked into that one location where you're the main person over top of the product or the asset. Each investment opportunity will have a different version of cash flow. It may have a different plan, a business plan, where maybe there's not as much cash flow, but there's a huge appreciation on the back end. So when they sell it, you end up making just as much money as the product or asset that you go into. That cash flows very nicely throughout, but maybe it doesn't appreciate as much. So again, more diversification, more adjustment to your income strategies, and what it is that you personally need from your investments. You get to make those decisions along the way.
Yeah, some of the investments that we make, they give us cash flow now, which is awesome. But then also we're looking to for the properties to appreciate, and that's huge when we sell. You put your money to work today, and then you kind of wait and let it mature in the market with the assets that you purchase. This picture here is actually one of our properties that we have under contract. Like we mentioned, you can be as passive or as active in the real estate business. This one specifically, we are pre-active. We are the sponsors, and we are inviting passive investors to join. This is a brand new construction, 21 units in Florida. So again, that's just to show you that the sky is the limit when it comes to leveraging on others' partners or experiences, boots in the ground, like you form a team and then pretty much grow together.
And this will be a 506c offering, so it's available to accredited investors only, and available. We can share it here on public forum because of that particular classification.
So today we wanted to talk about private money lending or private money loans. You might hear those two terminologies interchangeably. And one of the reasons, our main focus of investing is apartment syndication. So buying large apartment complexes with partners and capital partners, passive investors. So a lot of the times when we are looking for a deal, we want to keep liquidity of our money. So we want to make sure that when we go under contract, that we have money to show to start the process, to get that whole syndication process started. But it kind of hurts to be sitting on money when it's not working, and you have, I don't know, couple $100,000, and you're just waiting until the next deal. It could be 6 months, it could be a year. So that's why we decided to do private money lending, and we wanted to share this as an opportunity, whether you are having to preserve your capital for a project that is coming up, or you just transitioning, or you have capital and you don't know what to do. You don't want to be actively doing the flips or being overly tasked with the business. This is a very passive way to make money. So,
and it also not only is it money that you may have from a recent sale or something along those lines, new income, whatever, but also if you have a self-directed IRA, you are able to utilize those to fund private money loans And so as long as you are making more interest on the private money loan than the cost of removing it from your self-directed IRA, then you're profiting from that. And that's why we wanted to bring this topic to you. On the other side of things, there's always somebody else in the room who potentially needs money. And so we wanted to make sure to discuss some of those opportunities, because when you're in a room with other real estate people and they start talking about different topics, you may feel like you don't have anything to add, or maybe you hear them talking about having capital and you've got these other things going on. It's a great opportunity to present these different topics in conversation and just see where it leads. So for the most part, who's looking to have lending? Who's looking for lending? Ideally, you're looking for flippers and people who are using the BRRRR strategy: buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. You can provide bridge loans to help somebody close their deal. Maybe they're looking for other funding. The deal's coming to a close sooner than their funding is going to be available. And so you can offer an opportunity there. Or again, the other side is the person who's looking to have that happen. Are they willing to pay a little bit for that private money loan for short term, while their other partner or somebody else that they already have set up has another deal closing and the money will come shortly after?
So when you form partnerships, that's another opportunity. Sometimes you need to come with the money to start inspections or surveys, and the other partners might not have it. So if you have the funds, you can also use that strategy to bring in the capital, and then get compensated as a risk capital, which is the upfront cost of setting up pretty much any syndication or partnership. Other ways that we've seen other people use it is the short-term rental startup. So they will have to buy furniture or just get the whole business going, and they might be looking for money, a loan, until they actually start cash flowing that business. So there's tons of business that could use that capital. So be on the lookout. Talk about what you do. Talk about your availability of funds, and just connect with people. You'll be surprised how many people is actually looking for money, or maybe you're on the other side and just ask.
Some people here have their money sitting in the bank making 0.018% interest on a monthly basis. Sometimes it's on your mattress not making any money. I won't lie, sometimes the couch makes better interest than the bank does. But in the overall, you're only limited by your mindset on this. And if you have capital or need capital, those are the two categories. There's really no difference there. The rules do change when it's not your own personal funds and it's in a self-directed IRA. We personally have not used our self-directed IRA for these private money loans, short-term private money loans yet. And so we defer back to Quest and their personnel for giving more insight in how to utilize yours. But we wanted to speak from an area of experience in this topic. And so we can talk about how to move it forward, how you can make money when you do it right. So,
we have questions often asked from, people that want to do this and get started. And they say, well, how do you have, it's uncomfortable just to give money to kind of a stranger, right? But if you do it right, if you follow the steps and protect your asset, your money with their assets possibly, so that could actually be less scary. Your money is safe, and there's legally a binding contract between you and the lending and the borrower. So when you have these tools and you know the process, it actually can be very lucrative. So go ahead.
So when we bring this topic all together here, you've got, like we said, you have people who have money and you have the people who need some money. And it boils down to utilizing your network for starters. On the side of the person who's got some capital ready to go, you want to also be prepared with a promissory note. If you haven't done one before, we highly recommend that you have a lawyer assist. After that, it's fairly simple to adjust the document, adjust the template of what you have. Get in touch with the title company for the person who needs the funding. And once the terms have been settled, your promissory note is signed by the borrower, you can submit that to the title company, and you can get everything processed through them. It's very little work on our end. And we don't, this also limits the fees that we charge. Now, everybody's different. Everybody wants to make their own money on things. You are the bank. You get to set the terms. You get to negotiate the terms with the borrower for something where it can be a win-win. And one of the things that we do is we say, we'll let your title company take care of everything after the promissory note. We'll review it before you go to closing. And then after closing, when you've signed it, they will file it as necessary so that it'll be a lien on the property. And then afterwards, you get that documentation. So you have that legal binding document in your files should anything happen. Now, you want to be strategic with your loan lengths and your interest rates. This is our opinion. This is our experience. But if you can flip your money 2-3 times a year, it's much more profitable than if you can flip it. If you do a longer term loan of a year's length, your interest rates are going to be different. You have, let me look here for a second. I think it's on another one. Yeah, I'll talk about that on another slide here. So the person that needs money, you want to make sure to be communicating it to your network, because some of those folks that you know may know somebody else who has money. They may have a self-directed IRA that's just sitting there doing nothing. And or they have another investment that's coming back and they're ready to deploy that money again. Maybe you're a flipper. You need help either in purchasing the property, or you need help with the renovation, or maybe you need help with both. We've been able to do private money loans in all three of those categories. We let the buyer buy the property, and we just paid for the renovations. And then when they sold the property, they came back to us with our capital and interest. Let's see. So you can, for the people who need money, they can underwrite some added fees in there to try to make it lucrative to the person with capital. You just have to determine, when you're crunching your numbers, you have to determine what's the value that you're going to get from that. A small piece of a deal is better than no piece of a deal, for sure. But the whole process is negotiation between the person with the money and the person who needs the money, just like the bank. But I feel like it's a more personal event.
Yeah. So just probably you're asking yourself, like, where do I start negotiation, right? Like, do I start at 6-8%? It all depends. So for us, so just to give you an idea, some of the hard money lending, which is usually done by larger groups and with a lot of added fees, we actually use hard money, and we know that there's a lot of fees that are not very clear up front, and then monthly here they hit you. So we wanted to be investor friendly when it comes to setting up or interest. So the way we do it is, so they charge about 12 to 14, depending on your experience and where the location of the property is. They do their underwriting. So the way we wanted to do it, first of all, when we lend to somebody, we have a relationship with them, or we know somebody that knows them. And a lot of them are like, they trying to get started in the real estate investment. So we underwrite their deal. So we want to see their numbers. We want to see where the location is. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure that they're going to do well. And then based, if they're a repeat customer, then we might better the rates, because they don't repetitive, project with us. It also depends on how long they want to lend the money. So, maybe if they just want it for a short amount of time, we might give them something more, appealable for them. As if they want it last minute, that's another factor that we incorporate. If they want it last minute, it's probably going to, depending on where your money's at, if you have to pay fees for liquidating the money quickly. So take all that into consideration. Every lender or every person or every project has different factors that you can take into consideration to help you determine something that is going to be a win-win for both. But it's fun. It depends. It's you and the lender, and then you go back and like look at them like they're there in the next project, and it just building that relationship. But yeah, it doesn't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be scary. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'll give you our contact information later. But go ahead.
So we were talking about utilizing the banks earlier. You are the bank, and same as any other bank would do. You need to set your terms. So we wanted to give you a little something here to basically give you some framework to start with. You've got the term length of the loan. How long does the person need the money? And for an experienced flipper, they may know, all right, my project's 3 months. I'm going to list it. I'll have it sold. I'll have it under contract within a few weeks, and then it'll take 30 days or so for it to close. So I need money for 5 months. The person using the BRRRR strategy, their initial mortgage, if you're not funding the whole project, they may need to hold on to it for 6 months to let the mortgage season. And so then they'll need their loan for almost 7 months. Well, you can only flip that money 1 plus a little bit longer. So you, again, want to take those term lengths into consideration when you're deciding your interest rates. Again, to be investor friendly, to keep our money working, and to have a happy customer, we generally try to sit on the lower end of whatever the current market is. Maricela mentioned that you'll often see 12 to 14%, but again, it depends on the market. Right now, the market's booming, money is everywhere, and there's a lot of different projects going on. We have seen some interest rates be higher than that. We haven't charged it, but we've seen other people who have had those opportunities before them. Interest can be charged straight. So maybe you charge 10, 12% straight interest, no matter how long they have the loan, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and you're making 10% on your money in 4 months. Or you can do APR, where you're charging them 14% APR, and in a 6-month loan, you end up making about 7% interest on your money. Again, these are details that you need to decide on in advance. You need to have it in your term sheet so that everybody knows when it comes time for payment, what the expectations are.
So there's different tools and calculators that you can use to kind of project what your fees are going to come, what the payment will be. Again, we sometimes charge origination fee, but usually we don't. And I mean, again, those are strategies that you can add and make it profitable. But there's tons of calculators out there that you can use. Again, if you're gonna be drafting your promissory note, make sure that you have it, double check all your terms with a legal advisor. And once that you file that lien, you pretty much can take over the house or the project as if they default. So make sure that you're protecting your money when you're sending it out there. But yeah, that's let's see. I think that's all we have. Just in closing.
Yeah, in summary, so private money loans, there's people with needs and there's people who have the ability to fund. These things will only present themselves initially if you talk about it, talk about what you do, talk about your goals, talk about where you're going, and whether or not which side of that fence you're on. In general, the first time loans come through a connection. Hey, I know a guy who's looking to place some money, or I know a guy who could use some money, or a lady. And so that's really where a lot of those first time opportunities come through.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna put. I want to give you guys some time to, if you have any questions, to type them in the chat, or maybe you unmute yourself. I'm not really sure what the system here is, but this is our contact information. Again, our names here. This is our website, and we can probably post this in their links. And this is our email. We also have open a Calendly invite. If anyone here would like to get in touch with us, just click on that, or visit us on the website. You can also get all those links from our website. And this is a book that I wrote just to kind of go over not just private money lending, but also other strategies that you can use to get started in doing real estate investment. So let me see.
Yes, so we do have some questions from the audience. I will go ahead and bring those up.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. So here's one question. This was towards the beginning of your presentation. Once the equity for the property keeps growing with the rental paid, the ROI keeps going down. Would you refi or cash out those funds after periods of time and buy new property?
Would you refi or cash out the funds? You can. We used several strategies where we refinanced and did the BRRRR strategy. That's basically what it sounds like they're talking about here. And yes, it does work out well to do that. You just want to make sure that you're not over leveraging yourself. That you're, just because the equity has gone up significantly, the rental opportunities may not match with what your new payment is going to be.
So I think that the question also goes on more like if you're the one buying your property, and we are, we like Chris said, as long as you're not over leveraging your equity in the property, there is no reason why we have to sit in that equity. We have the pretty much the buying potential. The other thing that we did was do a line of credit. We've done a personal line of credit and a business line of credit. So the concept is that you pretty much, the bank will evaluate your portfolio if you have more than one property, and then they will give you a line of credit based on the equity of the properties. So you can leverage that money, and you can also do private lending from that line of credit. We've done that as well.
The nice part to that is you're not stuck with a permanent mortgage payment. If you use the money, you pay the interest and you pay some principal back on it. If you don't use the money, then it's just sitting there as a little nest egg ready for your next opportunity.
Perfect. All right, I hope that answered the question. We do have another question. The same attendee also wanted to know, how do you choose the locations of the properties? Any factors you would think of or evaluate when you make those decisions?
So when it comes to private lending, the person that is out there looking for properties is the one making the determination. We don't have a saying or where they find their properties. However, when it comes to us deciding to invest with them, that's when we do our own market analysis. And for us, well, as long as the deal makes sense, like if we see that person with experience and we have the distressed property, we are not concerned, because we know that they especially if they have done some previous projects with us, we don't have a say in how they or where they invest. If it's a new person, we might mention something about like, well, this might not be a project that we're interested in. So again, they probably will go and do some other financing with other lenders, but again, we pick where we want to put our money as long as the numbers make sense for the person that is actually doing the project. Again, these are passive investing for us.
And if you're not as comfortable with a location, but you see that there's other opportunities there, that other people are doing things, you see the prices, you're not as comfortable with it. Well, higher risk has higher reward usually. So you get to choose those interest rates. And so let the borrower decide if you're charging too much, and they want to move on to something else. If you're comfortable enough to go into it, and you think that you can still get your money back out of it should they fail in some way, when we don't go into any of these expecting to take over the property by any means. We plan for the business plan to work out, but we're also set and ready and prepared in the other direction if necessary. I hope that answers it.
Perfect. We do have another question from the audience here. How long do you have to move the money to another deal when facing capital gains tax?
So the income that you get from this lending is actually a 1099, so it's not a capital gain because you never really own the property. You are literally the income comes from in the interest of a loan, like any loan. So if if you're doing any other loan, it doesn't have to be real estate. So the earnings will be filed as a 1099 miscellaneous.
Okay, and this is actually a really good question, kind of a follow-up to, if you attended the QuestCon event. What areas are you guys focusing on in 2022?
Yes.
Thank you. So we, like we mentioned before, our laser focus is syndications, apartment syndications. We currently have the 51 unit that is under contract, expected to close by the end of this year.
That's in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah. Yes, a hot market for sure. 6 minutes from the convention center and other desirable areas. Then we also have another project that will be announced very shortly. That is at 669 apartment complexes. It's a total of 4 properties across 2 different markets. When we announced that, we actually here doing the due diligence this week, and then we have another property under contract.
We have another property that is under an accepted LOI right now, just outside of Dallas. So our personal main focus that we look at markets is the Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio areas. But again, we're open to partners that we have relationships with, that we know that they know their markets well. And so that's how we've come to some of these other markets as well.
That's great. I love that you mentioned due diligence because that's so important, any type of deal.
Absolutely.
Okay. One last piece of advice for our attendees. It seems like we've gone through all of our questions, and after this, do be sure to put your contact information back up there so that, or I can type it in the chat for us. But what would you give our attendees as one last piece of advice?
Go ahead, I will type this.
Okay. So I know what she would probably say, and that is education is amazing. It's wonderful. It's great to have the knowledge, but it's just like that equity in your home. If you didn't pull it out in a refi, if you don't take action, it's just knowledge, and nothing beats experience, but knowledge definitely helps. But there's a limit to where it's helpful versus holding you back. So just make sure to take action.
I think that's great advice. Yeah.
And the other thing I will mention, like start investing now. Whether you want to do active or passive, start now. We have a friend of us that's been following us since 2015, and every year her goal is to invest and invest and invest, and that didn't happen until actually October when we closed our deal in Austin. So imagine if she started that many years ago, like how the best time to start investing was last year. The next best one is today. So highly advise that look into how to get your money working and invested. And the other thing, like don't let the lack of knowledge scare you from taking action. There's tons of educational materials. I mean, you just mentioned about 20 and during the introduction, a lot of networking. Get out there, be proactive with your investment, and ask for those opportunities. You can be again as passive or as active as you want to. There's a lot of people that depending on what is important to you, that's kind of how you decide your investments, right? For some people, they're looking for cash flow today, and there's tons of ways that you can do that. For others, is building wealth and living something for generations to come. And don't let the lack of experience scare you away. Network with other people's, borrow other people's knowledge and experience, and save yourself some major time and get ahead.
I love that. I'm going to put y'all's contact information right up here again on the screen so all of our attendees can see that. Thanks for sending that over. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I enjoyed getting to listen to you. I'm sure the attendees did as well. If you want to go back and rewatch this class, it will be streamed on the Facebook and on YouTube for rewatches. But thank you guys so much, and I'm sure that we'll see you again, on a class in the future.
Thanks for having us, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks everybody for watching.
All right, bye-bye. We'll see you next time.
So.